but we'll give it another minute. Joyce, how are you?
Good. I'm actually supposed to be in mega camp, but I've been too busy. So I have to look at it later.
I understand. I understand. My understanding is that those videos are going to be available for 60 days. So if you signed up for Mega Camp and you can't attend a live session, you can attend over the next 60 days. So that'll be nice to have access and resources to use it. All right, guys. Well, it's Wednesday. It's 8:30. Let's go ahead and get started with our virtual company huddle. Welcome this morning. Thanks for joining me. I am your pitch hit host this morning. Lisa's at Mega Camp along with quite a lot of others of our team. Good morning, Keone. Welcome and thanks for joining us. So we're just getting started this morning. It's Wednesday. Who wants to share something good with me this morning? Anyone have any?
Yeah, we're opening escrow on a vacant land in Hana that's been on the market for a few years. So hopefully that makes it to the finish.
That's awesome. Yay, you guys have been working hard out there. If you haven't seen Joyce and Marcia and Chris's website for Hana Properties, you really need to see it. It is quite amazing. They did this beautiful multi-page brochure, and the website just really is probably the best regional site I've seen of any of our micro markets on island. So
wow, thank you. I'll let Chris know. That's kudos to him on that one.
Yeah, no, I mean, he's back in Hana now, correct?
Yes.
Awesome. Awesome. So who else has something wonderful to share this morning?
Well, for me, I mean, it's not set in stone yet, but I think my very first hot lead, very, very eager to buy and very, very eager to buy with me. So,
excellent, Diana. Congratulations. That first lead, that first escrow, that first sale is super exciting. And even more so, you know, when you get to the goalpost and get it done. I know you're going to do a great job. Diana was in one of my pre-license classes and a STAR student. She's going to be a STAR agent now. So yeah, very exciting. Okay, well, this morning is open Q&A. As I said, Mega Camp's going on. Most of our team is over in Mega Camp. I'm pitch hitting for Lisa this morning. It's open question and answers if there's anything you want to ask this morning. I have a few topics I'm going to cover first, and then any questions we can cover. We sent out an email last week specifically talking about the eviction moratorium. So did everyone get and read that document about the eviction moratorium? Okay. So
I have a question with that. How does that correlate, if at all, with not being able to evict by the end of the year? Does one supersede the other, or?
Well, the new eviction moratorium was clarified both by HAR and NAR, and I sent you out both documents. So they're attached to the email, and you can provide those to your clients. In the Hawaii document on the bottom of page 2, continuing up to the top of page 3, it speaks specifically to escrows. So if you have a property that you've listed or that your client is buying and there's an existing tenant, you cannot give notice to the tenant during the escrow period. The new owner is allowed to give notice day of closing, and it's a 45-day notice. So what that means is that your new buyers cannot be in their property for at least 46 or 47 days. And they need to know that going in. That applies to current existing escrows and future escrows, anything that'll close on or before December 31. Now that's what's in place today. And as we all know, COVID is a moving target, as are all the rules and proclamations. And so that may change. But as of right now, it's through December 31. The purpose of that was to prevent someone from saying, who has a tenant who's not paying rent, from saying, I'm going to sell the house, maybe even going as far as listing the house, evicting the tenants and not following through with the sale. That's why the requirement is that the new owner give the notice. That means the sale's fully completed, title's transferred, and they know, yes, the sale occurred. So then the new owner will give that notice and can get the tenants out in 45 days.
But do they
Great
collect
question.
for that? How does that work? Because that gives them a whole month of zero income with that holdover tenant?
Well, they're not a holdover tenant if they're covered by a lease or if they're month to month. They may not get any income. I mean, they would be covered under the terms of the lease, but if you have a tenant paying rent, you'll get the income. If you have a tenant not paying the rent, you would have to pursue them for the income after eviction. And for many people, they'll just make the decision not to do that. I mean, someone's already down, they've lost their jobs, they can't pay their rent. Pursuing them for rent at this time is just not a very charitable thing to be doing.
No, but it seems that it would put them at a pretty significant risk, doesn't it? I mean, the contract is with the original owner, and so the lease agreement wouldn't be with the new owner. So what's to stop them from damaging the house? Or, I mean, it seems very open to me.
Well, it protects the consumer, and Hawaii is a consumer protection state. So you're protecting the tenants from mass evictions across the island. If we had evictions going on today, it's potentially possible we could have 20 to 30% of our population evicted from their homes. And we as a community are not set up with support services to be able to wrap our arms around those families and take care of them. So this was the decision that was made to keep people in place, sheltered in place. It does place a financial burden on the buyer in that they may not get rent for the first 45 days. Keone, is there anything you want to chime in about this as our new president? You were on this.
Yeah. You know, the lease, remember that a lease does survive, right? So if you have a 6-month lease and you're 2 months in, they still have 4 more months on that lease, right? Lease will transfer with that. I would say if that is a concern of the new buyer, right, the non-income, maybe you write that in there and they get, you know, 1 month's more rent in the deal or something like that, right? Or and now the eviction too, they can evict somebody but not for non-payment of rent. So if they're, you know, wrecking the place, they can go in. The problem is the sheriffs are doing very few evictions. So the enforcement part is where you're going to get held up, right? The courts will order it, but the sheriffs, you know, may or may not go out and kick the bad tenant out. I think on Oahu they're not even doing them. On Maui, I checked with the sheriff's office and they said they're doing them, but you know, it's kind of in extreme situations that they'll do them. So try to, you know, remind your clients that that is a possibility, what Teresa was saying, right? They might not have that rent for that, you know, 45 days, but maybe you write it into the deal or something like that. But
and if you remember, Teresa, if you looked at that memo applied to month tenants. So what Keone is sharing with you is correct. Your lease is a non-issue. That's a commitment that the buyer is taking on. It's only in a month-to-month situation that really is impacting these contracts, where you would be able to give 45 days prior to closing. Go ahead, Keone.
I'm pretty sure most lenders are aware of this too, right? Because an owner-occupant loan, but usually they have like a 60, 90-day period to move in. So I think that would probably be addressed by the lender, right? That make sure the tenant's out within the 45 days after the closing and that sort of thing. So we haven't really run into that many problems with it. I don't know if that's because people don't know about it and it's not happening or whatever, but
I think that's the case.
yeah, so I haven't seen too much of that kind of issue, but it's good to be aware of it.
Yeah.
Thank you for explaining that. I appreciate that.
Yeah, and stay tuned because it might change tomorrow.
Yeah, and as I was talking with Don Harris before we got started this morning, he was talking about the hotel industry looking to leverage with the governor to reopen Trans-Pacific travel without a quarantine by mid-October. Now, the governor indicated earlier this week that he's going to extend the Trans-Pacific quarantine period. So right now it's due to end October 1, but he's talking about extending it. I could easily see another 30-day extension on his part to November 1st. Statewide, we have over 10,000 COVID cases to date. We are continuing to see deaths. I don't think the hotel industry is going to leverage him off that point, but they're trying to get him to only do it to the middle of the month. I see probably at least the end of the month, if not further. So yeah, we'll see what happens in the next,
Is there, is there any pressure from council to open up? I mean, we're the
No.
only state in the country that has small businesses still closed. Mostly every other state, I think there's one other state maybe, but I heard that we are the only ones with small businesses closed. We had what, 80 cases yesterday out of 1.5 million people.
Yeah.
I
I am not hearing anything from the county council. In fact, they're supporting the closure at this point. So no, I don't see any of that. But I did hear from some other realtor colleagues of ours on the mainland that it's pretty much business as usual on the mainland, except that people are now wearing masks. And they seemed surprised that we had a 14-day quarantine and that we still had a lot of businesses closed. I realize we are not more heavily hit because some of the mainland states have just devastating numbers. But it's something we're monitoring. We're going to watch closely, and we will continue to update you as we can. Our goal is to get our offices fully open, get our conference rooms back in use. They are not as of yet, but we're hoping soon. And then also, to get our communities fully reopened so we can support our neighbors and get things moving. I was on a webinar yesterday with Stanford Carr, who, for many of you know who he is, but for others, he's a local developer. He developed the Kehalani Master Plan. And he was saying, at sub 3% interest rates, anyone who has the ability to buy today should buy today, that it's historic lows. And when he bought his first home in the 80s here in Hawaii, it was 12% interest. So he's like, even though we're in a very difficult situation, anyone who still has their job, who is employed, who wants to buy, let's move them into the market. Whether it's first-time home buyers, whether it's people sitting on the fence. So I'm sharing that with you because I'm consistently hearing this now across our more iconic leaders and developers within our Hawaii leadership and business owners. And so that is a message I want to really send out this morning is touch your people and find out who you know who wants to buy, who that's their path, their dream, their goal, and find out, get an assessment, get them to a lender now and find out what can they buy. Maybe it's not exactly what they want, but get them into the market with that first property, and or who can you move up? Because a move up is a double sale. You're going to sell their existing place and move them up to a nicer place. Any thoughts on that, Keone, you want to share?
Yeah, the national news is supporting all of that too. I mean, the mainland is going nuts with multiple offers, and usually the news tries to doom and gloom it, but they couldn't, and they were just like, interest rates are low and inventory is small. So people that are thinking that the prices are going to come down, especially on Maui, that's wrong, because if you look at our inventory, it's super low. I mean, now in condos is a different story, right? Especially the vacation condos, because those are all coming on. I mean, right now, if you look at like Kihei Villages, there's like 20 something units on, which is kind of unheard of, but they're still going for 430,000 for those, ocean view ones, and then 3 middle threes or whatever for the for in more garden view, if you will, units. So, I mean, they're still getting a premium there, even with a lot of inventory. So, people
Right.
should get it if they're going to get in, because I don't see the prices really going down.
Yeah, I don't see that either. Everything I'm hearing from national and state economists, specifically to our market, the state as a whole, and or our micro market, the island of Maui, is that they don't see more than a 5 to 6% drop in prices if we see that. I only heard that prediction if we start to get mass evictions when that's lifted, and foreclosures for people who cannot recover. Most of the banks are going to move those payments that they're missed onto the end of the loan, and they won't have to make them up in real time if they have a federally insured loan. But for those people who won't be able to get caught up, that's an opportunity for you for a short sale or a regular sale. So really take a moment this morning, sit down and jot down, what are the opportunities in the market? Who do I know in my database? And come to them from contribution. This is your opportunity to serve them. I've been out speaking to different groups, Rotary and BNI, over the last several weeks. And one of the things I've said is, I'm willing to help small businesses that are currently in leases that need to get out of their leases because their business has failed, they've closed their doors. I don't get compensated for that service, but as a commercial realtor, I'm willing to step in to try to mediate that ending of the lease and separation of the lease, and maybe even buy out the lease. Some of our commercial landlords will let a lease be bought out for 1 month's rent per year of lease, because they're like, I haven't got anything for 6 or 8 months, and now I'm going to get a little nut of 3 to 5 months of rent, and then it's done. They already are underwater and not getting anything, and choosing not to drop their rates to refill those spaces. So if you run into people that who are small businesses who also need that help, feel free to refer them to any of our commercial realtors. If they need assistance, they can always reach out to me. Keone Ball is in KW Commercial, Bonnie McChrystal, Tyler Coons. I have a list if you need a list. But we can help people both on the residential and the business side. So although we're looking at these quarantines, and we're very blessed we have not been shut down again. Like Oahu's under a mandatory lockdown till the 24th of September right now. They extended that a second 2-week period, so they go to the 24th. We're blessed we're not in that situation, and let's really maximize. People want to be helped, whether we can put them into a deal or not. Let's look at how do we help our community. All right, next topic, continuing education. So as you all know, we're about 6 weeks out before renewals start. So it's time to buckle down and get your continuing education done. This is a renewal year. You do need to have 20 hours of renewal credit, as well as of that 26 of the 20 needs to be the core classes, Core A and Core B. So you need those to start your renewal process. The state likes you to renew by November 30th. You can start the beginning of November. And so let's get that done.
Now,
And
Michelle,
Yes.
may I ask for clarity? I
Mhm.
don't need to do the CEs this year because I just got my license.
New licensees do not, Diana. You are correct.
If you're
And-
licensed in 2020, you do not need CE.
Correct. Thanks for asking and clarifying. And then we're also right now in the annual renewal period for the Realtors Association of Maui. So those fees are due by September 30th. So you've got about another 2 weeks before you hit the first late fee. They will allow you to go into October, but you incur a late fee. So if at all possible, try to get that done by September 30th. Those fees are your annual fees. That is different from your MLS fees. So you've got 2 sets of fees coming pretty quickly together. You've got the RAM renewal, and then you've got your annual license renewal for 2 years. So be mindful of that. Set aside money from a current escrow so that you can continue to move forward in the new year.
And I was trying to look it up so I can plan. What is the cost of the renewal?
Keone, do you know what that is? I haven't seen those numbers.
Total cost is going to be $725 on your RAM dues, and that's including the RPAC. Everybody should donate that $35 to RPAC. That keeps us in business. It keeps our lobbying to the state legislature and the local legislature. And we do a good job of keeping us in business, basically, with all the different laws that come out, you know, that they don't think about the consequences. We can go in there and lobby to change them or get rid of them. So, you know, that's $35 that you know, each member should donate to the RPAC. It's tax deductible. So it's $725 for that, right? With $725, that includes your National Association of Realtors, your Hawaii Association of Realtors, and your Maui Realtors Association of Maui dues. Those all add up to $725. They're about $200 each, right? And then your renewal for your state license is going to be $340 this year because it's good for 2 years. So you're looking at a little over $1,000 for that right now. Prepare for that because the end of the month's coming up pretty quick.
Now, yeah, I've got the RAM thing covered, so I got that out of the way. For the state, it's $340 this year. Is that different than most renewal years?
Well, if you are renewing this year, it's $340. It's good for 2 years. If you get your license next year, it'll still be $340. If you get your license in 2022, then it would be $240 for that 1 year, right? So
That's correct.
so once you start now at the $340, you're just going to always pay $340 because you're going to renew every other year, let's say.
Yeah, every 2 years.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
Okay, guys. So, Keone, anything else you want to add this morning that you wanted to cover we haven't talked about?
No, if you signed up, I mean, I signed up for Mega Camp, but you know, it's really early in the morning and I got other things. I'm teaching Ignite and things like that. So I'm probably going to miss most of that, but they are going to replay those. And we're thinking it's going to happen in a number of days, maybe even a week or so, that they'll have the replay of that. So if you did miss it and you signed up, don't worry, you'll be able to watch them again.
Yeah, there will be video of it. That some of them are being taped. So I think
And
you have 60 days
you're
to
gonna-
access.
Yeah, I think they're going to edit them and everything also. So it'll be quicker.
Awesome. Okay, guys. So let's wrap up our huddle this morning. Who wants to share something before we leave? Do you have any needs or wants? You know, what's your listings that you have, or what are your needs this morning?
Sharon Vijay wanted to be here this morning, but she's on Mega Camp, so she texted me that she'd like me to mention a new listing that she has.
Okay.
It's going live on Friday.
All right.
It's at Kahana Ridge, 132 Ho'ohui Road, 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath. List price will be $968.
Great price.
And she's going to have an open house on Saturday from 3 to 6 p.m. Give her a call for an appointment.
Perfect. Perfect.
I wanted to say something. Scott Leroy is saying that there's a login issue for Command right now. So if you're having trouble, it's global and it should be fixed shortly, but just to let you know, FYI.
Thank you. Good to know. Who else has anything they'd like to share on property needs or wants? Anything you're looking for?
I have some clients that are interested in buying at the Kua'aina Mauka in Makawao, and it's a development that is being built basically. And I just realized I have lots of questions about how it all works. I'm wondering if we have any resources to learn about that.
I can kind of chime in. I have a client who put in for one of the cottages What I'm being told is the main houses are, some of them are being listed at where you can use a conventional loan, where most of them were a, what do you call it, a perm to completion
Construction
loan.
finance.
Yeah, and which you needed at least 20% down. So I would contact either Josh German or who's the other guy, Richard Wu, I think. He's going to share with you what the ABCs of it all is. I mean, it's a great opportunity. And from what I'm hearing, they may start dropping some where you can just do a regular loan with it and not have to have the 20% down. So a lot of them are already bought, but I think for the ones who may be locked in and now can't complete, they might drop.
Yeah. They're going to have units coming back to the market.
Thank you. Yeah.
Almost for sure.
I spoke with Josh German and Rich Wu yesterday, and just the whole understanding of how everything kind of works slightly different with buying a new development. I'm just wondering if we have any education or anything like that in it that I could find somewhere. I just found it interesting.
Marcus, not really, but if you want to give myself or Keone a call, we'd be happy to walk you through. Most projects have their own contracts. You do not use the purchase contract, the HAR purchase contract. You have the developer contract, and they are able to dictate certain terms and timelines. Some of them will have lotteries, some will not. Some of them have the minimum down payments, some do not. Some of them have required lenders to get pre-qualified with. So each subdivision is a little bit different, but if you reach out to Keone or myself, we'd be happy to walk you through any questions you have.
Yeah, I'm happy to share because I was in the process where we're on the list. They took a $5,000 deposit that's returnable should they cancel. You have to get pre-approved by American Savings. Even if you use your own lender, you have to funnel through American Savings. So they do have some bullets that you have to jump through to get to that point where you're on the list or you're approved.
Go ahead, Keone.
Sometimes when you use those lenders on the project, they give discounts and stuff like that. So compare the discounts with, maybe KW lending. But project sales are one of the easiest sales because once you get them into contract, I mean, you kind of don't have to do anything really. I mean, the project people usually run the rest of it. So, so they're really easy, but
condo docs, you have the walkthroughs, but you don't have all the disclosures and contingencies typically other than financing and documents. So it makes it a very easy purchase to get in. You have to accompany your clients on their first visit for most projects to be compensated. So I always tell clients, if you're thinking of buying new, let's set an appointment and let's go look because I must be with you on your first visit. Many of them don't know that. You have to educate them about that. For me to represent you and be compensated by the seller, I must visit with you on the first visit. And they're excited. They want to go. They see something new coming up. They want to jump in. Make sure you're with them. Okay, guys, it has been a fabulous Wednesday morning. Thank you for starting my day out on such a positive note. Hope you got some value this morning. Go out there and write some deals. See you all soon.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye. Thank you.
Aloha.
Thank you.
Aloha, everyone.
Aloha.